Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator. Here on America's Next, I have Pamela Campbell here with me today. How you doing, Pamela?
I'm great. Grand rising to you. How are you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Grand Rising. I've noticed a lot of people saying Grand Rising as opposed to Good Morning. What are the thoughts behind that?
So it's funny you say that. I have a dear friend of mine. Excuse me. She made a comment one time. I said good morning, and she was like, "Why would you say good morning?" And she was like, "The word mourn is in mourning." And I was like, "Man, I never thought about that, right?" And if you notice, there's a different vibration around grand rising, right, versus good morning. At least for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you say Grand Rising, it almost makes me shift mentally
Right?
and spiritually into a more respectful and respectable disposition. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pamela, where are you from?
So I am from originally from the Ivory Coast, but I grew up uptown. I live uptown in Manhattan.
Okay. The Ivory Coast of Africa.
Yes.
Wow. Can you talk to us a little bit about the Ivory Coast, the traditions, culture there? Can you give us a peek inside of it?
So yes, I was born in the Ivory Coast. My dad brought me here at tender age of 2. So I was raised in the household as an African child, right? But then I also had to figure out how to be American and be able to kind of fit into this culture, right? And so to be transparent, I do remember some of the traditions, but I kind of disconnected from my roots and culture because the story I had made up was Africans, they harm their children. The abuse that I endured at home, I made up that we were bad. They were bad people, and so I kind of disconnected for a little while, and I'm just now kind of exploring what that means, what that looks like for me, if that makes sense.
If I heard you correctly, you said that based on the abuse that you experienced, you you began to think that African people were not good people.
Yes, correct.
Wow. You experienced abuse at a young age.
I did. So starting at the age of 6 to 16, I experienced both emotional and physical abuse. It was so bad I attempted suicide when I was 13. When I was 16, I was finally able to leave home and placed myself in the New York foster care system, which literally saved my life.
Hold up. From six, you said from 6 to 16.
Yes,
Who is it that was mistreating you? So was it your parents? Was it strangers, neighbors?
parents, my father.
Did you have siblings at the time?
Yes. So my sister and I are 8 years apart. So I was 16 and she was 8. We do not have the same mother. So we were both placed in the foster care system. I stayed in the system and she went to go live with her biological mother.
How did you manage from 6 to 16 to go from one grade to the next, deal with different peers, different personal obstacles, all while going through the types of things you were going through at home?
I'll be honest, this may sound weird or not, but there was a time where I didn't think that I would still be here on earth, right? And because of the abuse and the verbal and the emotional abuse that I had experienced, there was a part of me. So one, I was raised Catholic, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking God has to have a plan. There has to be some reason why I'm going through what I'm going through. I couldn't understand why other children weren't having the same experiences when I would share with certain people that I trusted, right? And so it came to a point where, you know, if it came to the point where I was no longer here living, I was actually okay with that. I was actually okay with that because the life that I was living, anything was better than being told that you're stupid and dumb, that you will never amount to anything without a man. But I realized later on in life that everything that happened, it happened for me, not to me, right? It was part of God's plan for my purpose. And so, um, as difficult as it was, I'm grateful it would not change anything.
No matter how many friends you talked to about what you were going through, nobody said, I'm going through that too.
No, no. I felt like there was something wrong with me because I'm like, okay, so no one else is experiencing this. I thought there was something wrong with me or that it was my fault. There was a lot of confusion and conflict.
Mhm. Did you ever begin to have other adults that provided a safe environment for you to talk in confidence?
Oh, no. It's funny. When I was in seventh grade, I remember I was secretly seeing a therapist because the principal at the time knew what was going on. And unfortunately, children's services, every time they came to the house, they left and they left without me. So she arranged for me to see the guidance counselor. And I remember I would secretly see her about maybe once or twice a week. And I remember when I started to see her, I told her, I was like, you know what? If I die, I die. Like I was okay with dying. I remember she was so emotional. She was so upset, but I had found peace inside of it. Um, Outside of that, I wasn't really allowed around any other adults during childhood. So there wasn't any other adults that I could seek comfort or guidance from.
I think that it's it's terrible that at a young age you were considering suicide, or that your life would be better if you weren't here. And it raises my sense of urgency about being of more assistance to youth in the community, and not just youth, but we just can't fast forward to the adults without acknowledging that 6 year olds just like you, little kids, are going through terrible experiences. And I just feel there has to be a way for us to do more for one another. You know, can we take some time and talk about, in retrospect, was there anything that could have been done to help your father, even your mother, other family members, to make your home better than it was? What could have been done to make it better?
So this is um, my feelings around it. At the end of the day, what was done to me, right, was a result of what had been done to my father, right? And so the wounded wounds at the end of the day, right? And so it was his choice not to do the work around not making the same mistakes that his parents did or doing the same thing that was done to him. So at the end of the day, um, it goes back to like our parents, aunts, uncles, whoever it is, they're people. They're also human with their own trauma, right? And so, like I said, my father made the choice of not addressing his trauma, which is what resulted in my childhood. And so, for me, because of what I went through, I'm making the choice to make sure that I'm doing the inner work, doing my spiritual work, to make sure that I don't do that when I have children. So I'm doing the work now for generations to come. And so, in the in in a way, it's yes, I agree. There needs to be things that resources, things to help the youth, but it's also like the adults, they need support as well, right?
That's right. We have had several comments coming to the building. A lot of people are happy to see you here today. Yolanda Riley says good morning.
Hi guys.
Ani Keen Riley says,
Morning.
uh, Angela Quijada Banks says, hi, Pamela, Grand Rising.
Grand
And
Rising.
so you're getting a lot of support this morning. By the way, everybody, Angela Quijada Banks wrote a phenomenal handbook called The Black Foster Youth Handbook.
Yes.
It's an excellent resource. I've been looking through it, as you can see. It's an excellent resource, and so I'm happy to have you in the building to be a part of this experience that is Pamela Campbell's story. I look at the world that we live in today. I pay attention to the solutions that the world comes up with for the world's problems. And let's just say that COVID-19 has been a problem, right? And the world has sought to solve that problem. And now it looks like not only are we going to have to accept the solution that was created for COVID-19, which was the vaccine, but we're also going to have a card that says we've taken the COVID-19 vaccine, right?
Mhm.
Now, if everybody out there is saying that is a viable solution for COVID-19, then I look at, this is how my mind works. I look at the youth and families who are being deeply impacted by trauma, and I say, the trauma that exists in us is a problem, just like COVID-19.
Right.
And we need to go through a process of exercising that trauma out. And then we need to have a card that says that we've exercised that trauma out of us.
Right.
Before we can viably raise children, raise families, and be members of the community who could just slip by because you're Catholic. I think that we need those types of solutions to occur in our communities. That's what I think.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What if COVID was a blessing in disguise?
Mm-hmm.
What if it was a gift, right? For me personally, I had an amazing year last year, even though the pandemic was happening, right? It was a reminder to pause, to be still, right? To go within. I got to practice surrendering, stepping into faith, right? I really do my best not to get caught up and enrolled in the matrix, for lack of a better word, right? And so, not saying like, I'm not responsible and learning what's going on, but I just have a different viewpoint and do my best to I'm in like my bubble, right? And so I'm here as to what I'm looking to create, what I'm doing, and just having a different mindset around things.
Absolutely. Now, everything has a silver lining in it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a victorious moment for you. It's a victorious moment for the folks who are watching this, and we're also raising awareness, which we'll get to, that the pressures that we go through, they simply position you to be a brighter star. They simply position you to be miraculous, if you will. It just makes you more and more and more and more miraculous. You realize that your experiences were making you stronger a long time ago.
True. So at the time, it didn't feel like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during the foster care system, I'm grateful I had two amazing, loving homes, right? Because when I hear about these kids, I had a mentee who had been in 21 foster homes in 2 years. It's mind-boggling, right? So I'm grateful that I had two homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I hear you. But at the time, it doesn't feel like that because shortly after entering the foster care system, a classmate sexually harassed me, sexually assaulted me, right? Then later on, after exiting the foster care system, I had what felt like a mental breakdown. Like I literally had lost my mind because I was trying to run from my trauma, right? And so I've learned you can run, but you can't hide, right? And so all these different things were like, it was like, God, really, what else do you have for me, right? What is going on? But I realized through all of that, it was to make me stronger, to prepare me, right, for the work that I'm meant to do in the world and the impact that I'm looking to create. So yes, I agree with you. And people don't know it in the mix of it, right? It's like it's happening for you, not to you. But that goes back to like our mindset and the victim mentality. Because when you're in a victim mentality, you can't see that you're being prepared for greatness, right? It wasn't until later on when I started my journey of transformation, started on this path of spirituality, where I can look back and say, hey, wow, that's why that happened. That's why this happened. Got it, right?
You were a kid. You were a kid. So how did you find out about foster care?
I'll be honest, it's so funny. I remember being threatened by my dad. He was like, you don't want to be here? You don't want to be here? I'm going to put you in the foster care system. Where I was like, yeah, please, anything is better than being here, right? Okay. And he made up all these stories. And now I realized later on, like, he was trying to scare me, right? Maybe it was like a week or two before I left. And the morning that I finally was like, okay, I need to leave this situation, I ran to school. I remember running to my math professor's classroom. I was like, I need help. Like, I cannot go back home. I cannot go back home. Because if I go back home, you may not see me tomorrow. And so they called children's services. They came to the school, and supposedly they didn't do that at that time, back in the day. But they sent someone. She came. I was like, I can't go home. She said, okay, we're going to take you to a group home. I remember saying that I wasn't leaving without my sister. We went to go pick her up. We went to the group home. And as they say, the rest was history.
Mm-hmm. What was your experience like when you initially went into the group home and began your foster care experience? What was it all like for you?
I was scared. I'm 16. I have an 8-year-old sister. Um, I was scared, but then there was also this, I felt like I could finally breathe, right? Because I remember when we got to the group home, she said, by law, we have to call your dad and let him know that we have you, right? I said, okay. So she dials, and I remember hearing the sound of his voice. And he was like, come back home, right? And my heart was just beating so fast. And a part of me was like, man, I've come so far, right? Do I go back home or do I stay here? And she said, lady, she passed the phone to me. I could hear my dad screaming. And she said, you don't have to speak to me if you don't want to. And for the first time, someone had given me a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, in that moment, I chose freedom. And we were in that group home for maybe it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. They had finally found us a home. But during that time, I slept with like one eye open. I was watching my sister because she's 8 years old. I was like, yes, have fun, play, but make sure I can see you. So we stayed in the group home until Sunday night. And I remember it was maybe 10, 11 o'clock, and we were driven to this home in Queens. And we get out of the car, and this woman with this wig and long nails and glasses. Like,
hold on. How long was her nails? Let's go.
No, they were long. She liked them long. I was like, okay. She's like, welcome. I was like, what is happening right now? So we go in the home. Social worker's like, this is Miss MacArthur. She's taking you in. You'll be fine. You'll be safe. I was like, okay. We go inside. She gets the towel, the toothbrush. She brings us downstairs to the home. It was like, I feel like I had my own little mini apartment downstairs because it was just me. She did have other foster children, but they lived upstairs. And so it was me and my sister. There was a bunk bed in our room. But I mean, I guess because of everything that had happened so much, we slept together on the bottom bunk, right? I mean, everything just happened so fast.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like pressure and anxiety was being taken off of you when you were in that new space?
Yes and no. Yes, because there wasn't the demands of the household that I was used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand, I still had so much trauma and hurt and pain and anger, right? That filled me from head to toe. So inside of, yes, I'm free. I wasn't really free though. I was still a prisoner of my thoughts, my mind, my emotions, my feelings.
That's right. In that moment when you were filled with trauma, all the feelings that you had experienced from your previous life, did you ever get a chance to process that, or did you have to keep it tucked in and continue to achieve and continue to socialize normally and continue to kind of make your life a better thing?
So I remember being offered a therapist. I was like, hell no. I wasn't speaking to nobody. I remember that they were talking about medication. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but my spirit was like, doesn't sit with me. I was like, yeah, I'm angry. And you would be angry too if you had been raised in an abusive household for 10 years, right? Yep. I ducked them. Any chance I could, I would avoid my social worker. In my mind, I was fine. You can tell me anything. I was okay. I was free and no longer living this nightmare, not knowing that I wasn't okay. I was angry. I was hurt. I was in pain, right? And so I went many, many years using that pain and that anger. It was kind of my motivation, to be honest, right? Because I remember, like I said, being told that I would never amount to anything without my father, without a man. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you. So that became the driving force behind all of my achievements, right? At whatever cost, right? Because like I said, I was too busy um, creating this. The story was like I have to do everything I can to save the 6 year old that was me, the 16-year-old that was me, right? I was going to be the Marshall Clark of foster care and lock up people like my dad. That's where my anger was focused on at the time, right?
Wow.
Rather than, no, Pam, maybe you should chill out, see a therapist, talk this out. There was none of that. My goal, it had to happen yesterday, right? I wasn't aware that it was going to be a process, Pam. It was going to be a journey, right? My anger just took over me where I was like, okay, so what do I have to do? School. Because I remember they wanted to take me out of the high school that I was at the time. I was about to be a senior. I was like, no, not happening. Again, don't know what it was, but my spirit always spoke to me in different ways, right? Nudges, gut feelings. I was like, I didn't know about kids being left back, or being um, just the issues that they have, which is being placed in different school after school after school. I was like, listen, I get it. This home, it's 2 hours away. It was 2 hours commute, going to school, 2 hours commute, coming back home. But I did it because I was like, I need to do what I need to do to get to where I got to go to help these kids in foster care and make a difference.
You were determined before you graduated high school that you were going to come back and make a difference in the lives of youth who go through the foster care system.
Absolutely. I knew it was part of my purpose. Um, about no, I thought it was my purpose, not part of my purpose. Because later on in life, I realized, okay, there are other gifts God gave me. There's other ways God wants me to serve. And so at that point, it was just like foster care. That's what the main, or what I made up was like that was my main purpose. Foster care. I need to do what I need to do. I need to put people away like my father, people who hurt their children, harm them. Like I just want to just lock up everybody and throw the keys away.
Right. Your conversations with the therapist, when you finally began to have those conversations, what were they like?
So I was a junior at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, right? And like I said, I had reached a point where I experienced what seemed like a nervous breakdown, right? I had shut down. I couldn't focus. I was on academic probation again. Um, I didn't want to be around other people. Like my mind had just shut down. And I remember counselors and a professor that took to me in college, and they were like, you need to slow down. You need to get help. And at this point, I mean, I have no, like, for me, when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, right? And so for the first time in my life, I had to surrender. And here's the thing, God will speak to us in mysterious ways. Because I remember having dreams at this point. So my mother, my biological mother she left when I was 5 years old. She went back to the Ivory Coast, right? And so there was that abandonment, right? That hurt, that pain. And she would come to me in dreams. And I remember I would be dreaming and I would be crying in my dreams. And there would be images of me and her together. So as much as I may have wanted to run, I knew that 24, 25, when I finally did see a therapist, that was God. And even the way I was led to the therapist, when I entered her office, I remember being like, okay, like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I felt comfortable. She was this older white Jewish woman. She was feisty, but she was what I needed at the time. Like she was very protective of me. She was very hard at times, right? Tough love. But she was exactly what I needed at that time. And so I remember, You would think, okay, well, you're seeing a therapist, you're going to talk about your feelings and your anger. No, she was actually helping me get day to day, how to get by. So we didn't really dig into the trauma and stuff, maybe 2 or 3 months. But like when I saw her, it was, okay, I am in survival mode. Help me. How do I figure this out? Because here's my experience. I'm grateful for the foster care system. At the end of the day, no system is perfect, right? I don't feel like I had the proper tools to learn how to create my life. You're telling me I'm 21, I'm an adult. Okay, I'm 21, right? That can mean and look so many different things for so many different people. But I feel like my experience is you're 21 and you're supposed to figure it out on your own. That was
There
dumb.
are 400,000 youth in the foster care system today. Many of them are experiencing similar things that you've also experienced. Can you take a few seconds and speak to them? Go ahead. You got the floor.
So I want youth in the system to know that there is nothing wrong with them, that their voice matters. They didn't do anything wrong. Nothing is their fault. That they are powerful beyond they're so powerful. It's ridiculous how powerful they are. And it may not feel like that. It may not feel like that. Someone may not be telling them that, but they are powerful. And whatever has happened to them, it's to prepare them for the greatness that's within them and what they are about to do in the world. Because I'm telling you, man, youth in foster care, I just really want them to know that they are loved and that they matter, and there is greatness inside of them. Like they need to know that. And I'm even if no one tells them that, I'm like, they need to know, because I'm like, they're so bomb. They don't even know it though. I'm like, they are so powerful because of what has happened to them. And I don't feel like no one's saying that, but I'm saying it now.
Pamela Campbell, as we head into the break, I want to let you know that you are a unique individual. You are special in the sense that you've always had a conscience that's been communicating with you and you've been listening to it. That's the gift, that you've been listening to it for years. Several times in this conversation, you mentioned how you've cooperated with your consciousness. And that's something that makes you different. I know that we don't always like the word different when we're concerned with our brothers and sisters in foster care, but it just reaffirms your purpose of leadership and helping others. We'll be right back with more from Pamela Campbell. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're back. Pamela, how you feeling out there?
I'm hydrated? Yes.
Hydrated?
Making sure I'm staying hydrated.
Hey, you made a very powerful comment just a few minutes ago, you said that young people have to figure out or be given the resources and opportunities to create their life. What does that mean to you, creating your life? Unpack that.
I'm so glad you asked that. It's so funny because I was writing some content yesterday for next week, and one of it is about creating your life. What does it mean to create your life, right? And so for me, what that means is stepping out of the norms of society, right? Um, Creating, um, designing life by what you want, your desires, not by default, not what someone's telling you, right? So my whole life I've been told, whether it was my dad or my social workers or teachers, professors, how I should live, right? But that was based on what other people were doing, opposed to what my spirit was telling me or what I wanted, right? Somewhere in everyone's recommendation, there was never, what do I want? What does that look like for me? Right? Because here's the thing, we're all different people. And life is going to, whatever the life you dream about is going to be different from what I dream about. Right. And so I get to figure out what that means, what that looks like, what I want. Right, unapologetically. Because here's the thing, when you go against the grain, people are like, what are you doing? Or I love the, well, you know what they say. And it's like, well, who the hell is they? Right. And they, it's not their life, it's my life. And so I get to design this, I get to create this by my rules. And here's the other piece. I, back in the day, I was creating life unconsciously, right? And so when I started on this journey of spirituality, learning how to manifest and tapping into abundance and just being open to receive the miracles that surround us, I've been able to, and I'm still working on it, still learn how to create life consciously, right? And so I don't think people talk about that enough, where it's like, okay, yes, you're creating, but are you creating from a space of consciousness or unconsciousness?
I think that is absolutely huge, and let's make this a victorious moment for our listeners and supporters of how do you live consciously. Now, to me, living consciously means being selective about the people that you work with, being selective about the opportunities you take, being selective about who you work for, whether or not you work for yourself, the type of work that you do. It's selecting everything. It's thinking about every single thing that you allow to come into your life.
Right.
Sometimes you have to say no where no one else is going to understand why you said no.
Exactly.
Go ahead, give us your take.
I agree. And so here's the other piece too. Because of my experience and the trauma that I grew up with, I was operating in this space of fight or flight, right? And so, yes, my trauma is, why I graduated and all these awards and all these other things that I was able to achieve. Great. There came a point in my life where that fight or flight, that hustle mentality, that that time where I was really in my masculine energy no longer worked for me. It no longer served me, right? And so once I started on this journey of transformation, which led to the path of spirituality, I learned energy is real, right? We are energy, right? And so my work has been from going into that fight or flight mode to creating with grace and ease, right? And inviting God into what I am creating, co-creating together. Because I'll tell you, when I entered foster care, I had to divorce God. I was like, I'm gonna divorce you for a minute. Because
Right.
I was mad. I was angry, right? And so I had to find my way back to having and forging my relationship with God, knowing that I'm co-creating, right? And I can choose the things that bring me joy, choose what it is that I want in my space that's going to support me as I am, evolving into my higher self, moving forward, looking to create impact, building my business on my terms and not having to worry about, oh, you're doing it wrong. You should do it this way. No, this is wrong. Because, like I like to say, Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. And you don't have to listen to everybody's, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's your life. I don't think people really understand that what they want matters. What they want counts. It doesn't, you don't have to live your life to please others, right? Because here's
You
a
know, go ahead. Go
here's
ahead.
a piece too. I've had issues with, like, so my family in Africa, child, cultural differences was huge because there was a time where they didn't accept. Yes, I'm African, dot 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 American, right? So one of my struggles too was, okay, well, I'm here in the States, I'm African and I'm American. We do things differently, even inside of Americans doing things differently. I, as an individual, I, as Pam, am creating the life that I want, right? So there was a struggle. Like, me and my aunt, we used to bump heads. And I'm so grateful that we're in a space now where she's accepted who I am, the life that I'm creating, even though it goes against our cultural ideas and beliefs.
Mm-hmm. You know, if everyone persisted with what they would like to see happen in this world, the world would really, truly, honestly be a different place.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time, when you have an idea, you have a philosophy, and you want to bring it into the world, you'll have different editors that come along, and they want to edit it this way and edit it that way. And when it actually comes out, it's actually different than what your heart originally said. And
Exactly.
so I find it heroic that you say, I'm going to provide this my way. I'm not looking for everybody's edits. That's extremely important because we actually make the world a better place. We create culture when we are edit free,
Right.
if you will. You said something that was really important. You said that your experiences, which put you on fight or flight mode, had you in your masculine energy.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people are after sort of their experiences, they're in their masculine energy. You have women who are in their masculine energy, and even though that's not a violation, it's not a sin, it's not incorrect.
Well,
You get labeled
right.
by editors.
Right.
The editors say, "Oh, she's violent, she's angry, she's hard to work with, she's not coachable, she's not trainable,"
Mhm.
as opposed to understanding how to deal with trauma
Mhm.
and how to undo that trauma in a way that somebody could come off the edge, which is fight or flight, and get more into their divinity. I think that was great how you described that sliding scale. You don't have to remain in your masculine energy. In fact, if you want to grow and flourish and, like you said, co-create with God, you've got to slide that scale back into your divine energy.
Yes. And here's the other piece. Some people may not know how to do that, right? I didn't. And so I'm grateful that I have a spiritual advisor that I've worked with, what, the last 5, 6 years, who was able to teach me and say, you know what, there's nothing wrong with your masculine energy. Um, However, you may want to learn how to tap into your feminine energy. And so when I say feminine energy, um, so for me, masculine looked like, yes, I have aggressive ways. I'm a go-getter. I'm results driven. But I needed to know how to, that softer side, right? That kind, loving, joyful. Also, when I say feminine energy, also being open to receive support from spirit, right? Allowing myself to be carried by spirit, if you will,
Mhm.
so that way I can be open to receive what it is that I'm creating, right? Whatever support, abundance.
That's
Um,
right.
so, yes, and some people may not know how to do that.
And that's why I think it's on us to teach them. I feel that so many people don't understand that mechanism, and it's the reason why we have so many outcomes. And it's on people like me, you, other people who are tuned into this broadcast to go out and teach. This is one of the most important things for people to learn.
Right.
Listen, it's nothing wrong with the masculine space, but you've got to be able to slide that scale back so that you can make sure that you're on the right accord with not only your creators, who are your parents in the universe itself, but with your own heart and where you want to go.
Right.
On the same token, when men are only in their masculine energy, they can become hyper masculine.
Right.
And what do the editors say about men who are hyper masculine? Oh, you're violent, you're a criminal, you're a thug, you're a menace to society, you're a womanizer. Some of the folks who get those labels, you talk to them and you're like, wow, you're actually a good person. It's a shame that you have to be labeled
right.
A thug and a criminal and a womanizer. But at the end of the day, do you understand the sliding scale that is the energy of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we've got to help people to have that choice by educating them on that sliding scale. So I wanted to draw that out because that is absolutely important. It's key. It's what our parents needed.
Yeah.
It's what our parents needed. It's what our parents needed. You know? So I respect that. I respect that. What type of work do you do today?
So I am a spiritual life coach. What I do is I support clients and identifying the story that is running their life. Basically, what is the narrative that they're operating from, helping them to break down whatever the limiting beliefs are that's holding them back from actually like having the things that they say they want in life. And it's so funny because I had to shift. Recently, I had to shift because I really didn't know how to put into words or what it was. I thought it was supposed to look one way. So for me, I'm like, I'm results driven. I'm gonna be a leadership coach, da 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 da. But then when I started attracting different clients, I noticed a trend. I was like, okay, so we're working around your beliefs, the stories you made up, and just old stuff, old ideas and old beliefs that they made up about themselves. And I love it. I could coach all day long because for me, it's so powerful to see people have their breakthroughs to figure out why they operate the way they do or think the way they do, have that breakthrough, and then choose something different. It's just so powerful because I don't think people realize it's a choice. You can choose something else. You can choose a different narrative. You can choose a different belief, right? It's powerful. It's powerful.
Are you familiar with Greek mythology?
Somewhat.
A little bit. What was the name of the character who's pushing that boulder up the side of the mountain? Do you remember?
I know you're talking about. I can't remember in this moment the name.
Give me a second. I'm going to Google that because that's what a lot of us are doing.
Oh.
We are pushing that boulder up the side of a mountain because of our experiences, because of you name it, and it's not always young people in foster care. It's not always a particular race of people.
Just people.
It's just in general. You know, we believe in pushing that boulder. We believe, hey, everybody's got a boulder on their back. You need to take that boulder, you need to put it in front of you, and you need to push it up the side of the mountain. That's the middle 85% of America. I can't speak to what's happening in other countries. I've not been there yet. Oh, his name was Sisyphus.
Okay. Yes.
Sisyphus is pushing the boulder up the side of the mountain. That's what we do. And in order to push that boulder up the mountain, you got to be into your masculine energy. You know? And that goes for everybody. We say, listen, don't be soft. You got a boulder to push, right? And so what we've got to do in order to push that boulder up the mountain is we've got to actually tap into free energy. You've only got but so much. Your arms are only going to be but so strong. Your brain is only going to be but so strong. Your heart, look at you. Look at you. Your brain is going out. Your heart is going out. Your eyes, your legs, your arms. Listen, that's not the right paradigm. Don't you dare use brute strength to push that boulder up the side of the mountain. You've got to tap into free energy. That's your heart. Let your heart drive. Right. Don't always let your brain and feet do the driving. What do you think about that?
But so here's the piece, though. People are people at the end of the day, right? And so in my experience, I remember I had to get to a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Mhm.
and then want to do something different. So when you're on automatic, right, you're just living life. You're just this routine. It's familiar. Normally people fear change. And inside of that, I feel like people just fear what they don't know. And so, yes, I agree with you. And people have to be ready to do the work. People have to be ready to want something different,
Mhm.
right? Um, and if they're not, they're going to keep doing the same thing.
That's right. That's right. You have any books out? You have a website?
So I've co-written 2 books. I'm working on some things this year. I don't want to announce anything just yet.
Okay.
So I have co-written 2 books. So The Art of Activation with Lucinda Cross and Woman Rising Volume 2. People can purchase that at Amazon.com. My website is PamelaJCampbell.com. And yeah, I'm excited for this year and the things that I'm working on. But people are going to have to stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And this is also a place where you can stop by in the future. Let us know what's going on with you. Drop updates and stuff like that. What is it like to co-author a book? What's that like?
That was a very interesting experience. So funny story because I always got one. When I applied to participate in the Art of Activation, I remember they were looking for 30 powerful women to share their story, and I was like, oh, I applied as a joke because I
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to be chosen. So I applied. I took the application seriously. I answered them honestly, but it was a joke. I was like, oh, no, they're not going to call me. And so then a week later, I get I received an email saying that I had been chosen to participate in the project. I was like, what? And so it's me and a few other women who are sharing their story. It was powerful to be amongst other women who were so open and vulnerable, and wanted to serve, to be in service, right? Because for me, I feel like as humans here on earth, our jobs, our roles, our purpose, it's through service, right? And so um, that was different to be in that space, to experience that. And it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot through that experience. The second book, I happened to be working with a speaking coach at the time, doing a program. She was like, hey, you know what? We're all going to do this book project. Do you want to join us? I was like, why not? So there, Woman Rising Volume 2 was birthed out of that.
Nice. Now you said your website was PamelaJCampbell.com?
Yes.
Okay. As we round third base, I just got a few questions for you.
Sure.
What change would you make in the foster care system if you could make it?
So I'm just going to speak it, right? I will create change through legislation. I don't know what that means. I've been having some conversations with Spirit recently. It's so funny you asked that because I was talking to my advisor yesterday, and I know that politics, even though it's not my jam, politics is definitely in my future. Um, I want to change laws. I want to create impact. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I know legislation is a big part of that. I also will create an app that will support youth in foster care with resources. So it was my experience that when I did get an award, a scholarship of some sort, it was because of a social worker who saw something in me that I didn't see that told me to apply. If that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have known. There is so many resources out there for youth in foster care because of their situation, and they don't even know it. So the intention, the idea is to create an app that will connect them to resources and healing and services that will support them so that way they can go from this trauma, fight or flight, into like really stepping into who they were meant to be in this world.
Wouldn't it be interesting if there was a political seat specifically for youth in the foster care system?
That would be so powerful.
Mhm.
Because at times, when I hear about different laws that are passed, legislation, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, who did they consult, right? Are they really speaking to the people they need to in order to create change? And maybe they are, or maybe they're not, right? And so I get to do more research around that and figure out what is really going on.
Mhm. So thank you to all of the people who get involved, who
Yeah,
speak to Congress, who do the work of getting Senate bills passed, and who do that work. There are a lot of people who do that work, and we're definitely saying thank you to those people.
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I just would like to see. It would do my heart well to see. I'm looking down a list of people who sit in the House and the Senate, and then foster care representative Pamela Campbell, a seat. I mean, an actual seat that says foster care on it, right? Not somebody who's wearing multiple hats, and foster care is one of them. I'm talking about foster care being an actual agenda item, right? With the seat that occupies that agenda item. I would love to see it.
That would be powerful. I would love to see that too.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to great things from you in the future. I'm
Thank you.
looking I'm looking for all the things you're talking about. You're an innovator, an author, a coach. That's super cool. How can people contact you for coaching?
So they can feel free to visit my website and schedule a 30-minute discovery call where we'll be able to see if we're a right fit. Because I may not be a fit for everybody, right? I'm a spiritual life coach, like I said. So my work includes source, God. And I may not be for everybody, and that's okay. So people can feel free, go on the website, schedule a discovery call, and then we will take it from there.
All right. One last thing. I just want you to say one last thing to the youth and the young adults, the women who are in college right now, the men, the young men who are in college right now. They're on the brink of full on adulthood, and they just need a word from you. Just take 30 seconds.
Keep going. Keep going and know that everything you need to create your life, everything you need to go after your dreams, your aspirations, you have it. It's in within you, and you are so worthy and so deserving just because.
Absolutely. What is survival to you?
Survival, being in living automatic, just living day to day, um, in a fight or flight space, not consciously making decisions, kind of just, being on automatic.
Are there any signs that we can look for a young person who's in survival mode? What do you think
Hmm.
about that? Just on the fly.
One thing I wish someone had told me was pay attention to how you feel, right? And so for me, when I was in fight or flight, it was always right here in my chest. It was always this feeling of the trauma lives right here for me. It's going to look different for everybody, right? And so what I wish someone had told me was to pay attention and to really check in with how you feel. And so you'll know if something doesn't feel right, if something's not for you. But when you have been, you know, when you've experienced trauma, you can't tell the difference, right? It all feels the same. It's all the same. And so pay attention to how you feel. And when feelings arise and you're not sure, just take a moment, take a deep breath, be in your breath, and really connect to what is going on inside of you.
What is success to you?
Success, success. Living life on your own terms, living
That's
life
right.
on your own terms, being in service, um, enjoying life with amazing friends and family, people that you can enjoy your achievements, dreams, and goals with.
Mhm. What if somebody said to you, "I don't know what that means to live life on my own terms"? How do you come up with your own terms?
You figure out what you want. You figure out what you want, what makes you happy, what brings you joy, right? And you go after it with no permission. Just do it.
Absolutely. Just do it. What is greatness to you?
Greatness. Mm, greatness. Truly living a life of purpose and creating impact in the world.
Pamela J. Campbell, I want to let you know that I've listened to your story today. I really appreciate the way that you overcame adversity and provided leadership in your life and provided leadership in the lives of others, all while being teachable. I want to give you your respect today while you can still receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready, because today we're giving you your crown while you can still receive it, giving you a crown while you're still here to receive it. And we're letting the world know, letting you know that you are America's next motivator.
Yes. Thank you. I received that. I received it. I appreciate it.
So we got crowns coming into the building for you, and just want to say thank you for stopping by today. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, hold on. I know we're in the last minute, but you had a bunch of crowns came in.
Oh.
Monica said yes.
Thank you.
She dropped some more. Listen, people loved you today. Your conversation was great. Your thoughts were on point, and we appreciated you. Thanks for stopping by today. All right.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.